Um, Welcome to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, we will be talking about unit testing and the test driven development. So, by definition, unit testing is a software testing technique that involves testing individual components or units of code in isolation. So, these units can be functions, methods, or classes, and they are tested to ensure that they work correctly and produce the expected outcomes. So we can work on unit tests by using the PHP unit. For that, I would need an IDE, and for now, I'm using the VS Code. So for our unit test, we can use a small code that is of calculator. We have it on Git repository. Let me clone it. Okay. So let me select a folder. This is my destination folder. It will take some to pull. Yep. Okay. So this is our code. It's a simple calculator class which has four methods: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So we will be working on the unit test for these methods. So for unit tests, the very first thing that we need is a PHP unit. There are multiple ways to get the PHP unit. One way is that we can direct download it from phpunit.de. The other way is to use the composer. Okay. So let me do it by using composer. Control Shift P. It's kind of the terminal. All right. So for composer command, we can run composer required PHP unit, PHP unit. Okay. So probably it will ask for the required dev. Yes. Do you want to rerun the command with -dev? Yes. Since unit testing is for development only, it had nothing to do with the production. So it will take some time to download PHP unit. As you can see, we have the vendor folder where we have PHP unit and all the other dependencies, right? So here's our composer JSON where we can see required dev, and we have the PHP unit which having version. All right. So very next thing that we need to do is to use the autoload, since we will be needing autoload classes, and we are using the PSR4 as we have our source code in the app here. We can use the app folder. Great. We can update the composer by, since we need it once to update our composer.json. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to create a folder where our test will be. So I'm going to add a folder with name tests. Okay. All right. So the there is an important file that is phpunit.xml. It has all the configuration related to the PHP unit. So here I'm creating another file, phpunit.xml, right? So I have now phpunit.xml. Let's right. That is 1.0. Okay. Now PHP unit. Now first thing that we need is to bootstrap. Now as we know, we have autoload file in the vendor folder, and there is an attribute of color since we need some green color to show that our tests are successful. And we can also add stop on failure false. Since we want our test to be run whether one of the tests is fail, right? So let me close the PHP. Okay, now I'm going to write test sheets. Okay, now the first test suite would name my test suite. Okay, all right. Now we have directory and whatever directory name. Yeah. All right. So here we have our XML file. So let's run our first test. So we go into the vendor folder, bin and PHP unit. Let's run it. So here we can see that no tests executed since we haven't written any test yet. So here is the use of color. Like if I do is false. So now here you can see no test is executed. So just to show for the better visibility, we always use it as true. All right. So now we are going to write our first test. Okay. So under the test folder, create a new file. We the name of the class and followed by the test. This is our test PHP class. Now class calculator test extends PHP unit framework and task case. Okay, now let's run it. So here we can see that it says no tests found in class calculator test. However, it has identified the calculator class, but not any tests. So let's move on and write our first test. Here we are writing our first test, which is add. Okay. So for test, what I used to do, we do setup, do operation, get results. So these are the basic three steps that we need in a test. So for setup, we need to create the object of the class that we needed. Suppose calculator is the object, and we are creating the object of calculator. Okay. And the next is we actually call the add method, and it takes two parameters, two integer values. So what we are doing here, we are actually adding two numbers. So what results should it be? Here we use assertions, and equals assert equal, which actually compare two values. One is the expected and one is the actual value. So in result, we are actually getting the actual value. And it is our expectation that once we add two numbers, 28 and 5, we get 33. Let's save this, run the test. Okay, error class, app calculator not found. Oh, we have some type. I believe so. App calculator, what? Calculator. Got it. Okay, so here we can see we have one test, that is test add, and one assertion, that is assert equals. Okay, all right, let's do another test, and it is, let me check, this is subtract. We have subtract method. Okay, we do the same approach, do operation, get result. Here we can create the object. Okay, and in result we can do the same, but this time we will be calling the subtract method. We can take the same values. Okay, so what could be the result? Result should be assert 28 minus 25, 23 result. Okay, now if I run my test, so it says two tests and two assertions. We have two tests, test add and test subtract, and two assertions, assert equals for test add and assert equals for test subtract. Okay. You might be thinking that why we are using the initialization process again and again. So to get rid of it, what we can do few nice things. I can use the setup method since it is just for initialization. So we write void, and I just copy it and paste. One thing that I need to do is this calculator, and now we can remove the initialization part since We have already done it in the setup. Okay, so here we are calling instead of calculator. Now we can use this calculator. Okay, now we run our test. Voila. So what we have done, we just separate our setup method where we can initialize everything. Okay, we do not have to do it again and again. Okay, so just to uh, make it more readable, we have a flag that is the test docs. So now you can see that before that we were having only this information that we ran two tests and two assertion. Not we do not have any uh, summary here that what are those tests. So here we have a bit of summary that this is a calculator class and it has two methods, add and subtract, and these ran successfully. To make your methods more meaningful, so we can change the name of the method. So test that both values has correct sum. Okay, so now if I execute it, so it will show that way that both values has correct sum. So same we can do with the subtract. Now there's a thing in unit test that is the coverage. What coverage is? Coverage is basically uh, the tendency of unit tests to cover the source code that we have. So for now, if we see, we are just running test on two methods of calculator class, add and subtract. So let's play with the coverage. So for that, let me uh, add a new folder. So for coverage, we use this command where test is the folder of tasks, and here we can create coverage folder under tests. Okay, and in the end we have app where our source code is. So now our two tests and two assertions, and we also have a code coverage in the form of HTML. Let me bring it up for you. Okay, so as you can see, this is an HTML that we can open in a browser. So here it says there's a total of 4.35% of lines which have been covered during our task case. We have a class calculator.php. Since it has four methods, for now we wrote only two tests. That is why only the 50% of the code is being tested. If I click on calculator.php, you can see these are the lines which have been covered. So first one is of add method and the subtract method. Let's do here our tests creator. I'm going to add another test for this time for multiply. Okay, multiply. So here 5 into 5, 25. Okay, Let's run the tests. Okay, what it is called undefined method mul- multiply. My bad. Okay, here you go. Now we have tested three tests and three assertions. If we run the coverage, so this time, let me refresh it. Now you can see that in calculator class we have 75% coverage since we have done three methods, only one is left. If we write the test for the fourth one as well, it will be 100% coverage. So this is how we can see how many percentage of our code has been tested. And I think you all have learned a lot from this video. So that's it for today. If you have any question, you can write down in comment. Thank you very much. Bye for now.